Let me summarize the findings for you. Climate change is crap, and nobody knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
How does that help? Does that help? So this is going to surprise a lot of people. There's more ice now at the Antarctica than there was 5 years ago.
Oh, that's an inconvenient truth.
So here's a friend of the show. We've had him on, Tony Heller. He's a scientist heretic because he tells you a counter narrative to what you're being told by the corporate news. And all I know is that the corporate news has lied about every major important thing in my life. For COVID, 9/11, Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, Ukraine, Russiagate. There isn't a thing that they haven't lied about in my lifetime. Vietnam. So he found newspaper articles from like 60, 70 years ago, and he's quoting them. He said, it was noted by climatologists that the Earth began a cooling period about the 15th century. It was not until about 1890 that the Earth warmed up significantly, and during a period of little more than 50 years, until about 1945, crops became more abundant and the world's population more than doubled. After about 1949, the cooling was noticeable again. Alexander noted that the total drop since the 1940s has been about 2.7 degrees. So, why do I show you this? Well, there's a new report. Colin Rugg caught this. Antarctica reverses trend and gains ice for the first time in decades, according to a new study published by the Science China Earth Sciences. Researchers say from 2021 to 2023, the Antarctic Ice Sheet saw a record-breaking mass gain. Record-breaking mass gain of ice in Antarctica. So what this tells me is their models are all wrong. They're all, by the way, climate change is all based on models. So they don't know. They didn't predict. Nobody predicted this. So how can you believe their predictions going forward? It's all based on models. And there's a thing called climate gate. Whatever you do, don't look into what that was. Don't ever look into it. So research. So it's Tongji University. I think that's how you say that.
Where?
Yeah, Tongji University researchers say satellite gravimetry data show that from 2011 to 2020, the Arctic sheet lost 142 gigatons of ice per year. That trend flipped. It didn't flip. Why? What? How could that possibly be? Things are getting warmer, I'm told. It's hotter. Every year is the hottest one on record.
Yeah, but there's more plants than ever. Oh.
There's more plants than ever right now because of the increase in carbon in the atmosphere. That also means there's more plants, which also means, don't tell anybody, there's more oxygen. The Earth is way greener than it was 20 years ago. Did you know that? By about the size of the United States. That's how much more greenery there is on the planet because there's more carbon in the air. The trend flipped between 2021 and 2023 when the ice sheet allegedly gained about 108 gigatons of ice per year. Most of the gains are in East Antarctica. Scientists say much of the gains are linked to precipitation patterns, which could be temporary.
Well, you know what, Jimmy? Do you have the jokes or no?
Yeah, wow. It looks like blotting out the sun in the UK does help. I stand corrected.
Yeah. We suddenly get this great news after they blotted out the sun.
Yeah. So Antarctica is actually increasing its massive ice. Are you trying to tell me that all the leading bow tie scientists were not only wrong, but they were identically wrong? Well, as long as they were only identically mistaken and not identically paid off, then I guess we can forgive them. They were identically wrong? So here's what we're talking about. I went and got this article. Antarctica Ice Sheet records surprising mass gain after a decade of accelerated loss. So here we're losing. All of a sudden, boom! Abrupt gain. Why? Oh, well, I thought there's more carbon in the air. Yeah, there is. I thought the place was, well, we don't know.
I guess Greta Thunberg should have went to school.
Yeah, aha! So I've been saying for a while now that the Earth has been getting cooler, and by that I mean it's more popular, able to talk with women and not be awkward. A comprehensive new study reveals that the Antarctic ice sheet experienced unexpected mass gains between 2021 and 2023, temporarily reversing a 2-decade trend of accelerating ice loss that has been contributing significantly to global sea level rise. Isn't it funny that they all say that global sea level's rising, yet John Kerry, the people who tell me about it, keep buying beachfront property. Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Al Gore, Barack Obama bought 2 beachside properties. Same thing with John Kerry. This remarkable shift, it's a remarkable shift, comes after analysis of 22 years of satellite gravimetry data showing pronounced mass loss acceleration in several critical East Antarctica glacier basins.
That's my old band.
And right, and don't, by the way, don't come at me with that stuff explaining that it's because of the chemtrails, because it happened way before they showed up. Bill Gates has as much to do with saving humanity as your golden retriever has to do with guarding your leftovers at the table, okay? He's a devil's flaccid dick in a sweater. That's what Bill Gates is.
Well, if it did help, wouldn't they be saying how their great idea helped?
That's right.
And celebrating Bill Gates with his Nobel Prize for making the ice come back?
Researchers from the Tunji University, led by Dr. Wang, I wish my name was Wang, and Professor Yongzhao Shen, have documented these dramatic fluctuations using data from the GRACE, Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment, satellites mission. Their findings, published in Science China Earth Sciences, Science China Science, provide crucial insights into Science China Sciences, Antarctica changing. So the study identifies 3 distinct periods of Antarctic ice mass behavior over the last 2 decades. And if you're wondering, I say decade because it's funnier than saying decade. 2002 to 2010, they had a moderate ice loss. 2011 to 2020, nearly doubled the rate of ice loss. And then from 2021 to 2023, surprising, complete reversal with mass gain of ice. 107 gigatons per year, offsetting the global sea level rise by, well, I don't know, whatever that is.
Obama's house is saved.
Thank God. Let me summarize the findings for you. Climate change is crap, and nobody knew what they were talking about.
Yeah.
How does that help? Does that help?
Wow. Keep your mask on, though.
But keep your mask on. The recent mass gains appear driven by anomalous precipitation accumulation across the country. It's anomalous. What? You mean like, yeah, so you can't keep looking at climate as if it's weather. That's the mistake they're making. You have to look at
why they think they can tell you anything about it. Yeah, that's what's anomalous.
Right, not right. So they're looking at, well, it's anomalous. You mean anomalous like in the history of the world, of the Earth? No, we didn't go back that far. Well, how far did you go back? Well, we went back to 1890. That's what we mean by anomalous. So you didn't go back. You went back a little over 100 years. You know, the Earth is what? It's 6 billion years old or 4 billion years old. You didn't go back 1,000 years or 10,000 years or 100,000 years. You didn't go back 1,000,000 years. You didn't go back 10 million years. You didn't go back 100 million years. You didn't go back 1 billion years.
But they implied they did.
You went back a little over 100 years. That's what you did. You went back a little over 100 years, and that's why you call it anomalous. Well, what if you took the Earth's history of weather or climate as a whole? Would it still be anomalous? Because for the majority of life on this frickin' planet, there has not been polar ice caps. Did you know that? Yeah. Okay, go ahead. What do you want to say?
Well, what they were saying was the reason they were only going back that far was that's when we started having combustion engines.
Yes.
So that was a justification for it. But, I mean, you know, there's more ice now. So, like, what, you just wasted everybody's time with that?
So, and by the way, they said remember they were telling us that the barrier reefs, the coral reefs are all good. They're going to be dead in 5 years. There's more than ever.
By the way,
And they don't know why.
There's plenty of oil too, by the way.
And they don't.
I think there's always been. It's the second most plentiful fluid on the earth besides water. Did you know that?
I did not know that.
That's
I thought
all
it was
marketing.
I thought it was
Fossil
lube
fuels?
at a Diddy party. Come on, am I right?
I
Come
thought it
on.
was my cereal.
So the recent mass gain appears to be driven by anomalous precipitation accumulation. Despite this, though, they're still sticking with their story. Despite this, they're still sticking, even though every prediction they ever made and nobody saw this coming and they all got it wrong exactly correct, exactly similar. Despite this short-term reversal, the researchers emphasize that Antarctica's contribution to global mean sea level rise peaked in February of 2020 before declining size. So I don't know what any of that means. So if you know what that means, let me know.
I know what it means. It means how science works. How it should work is you pivot when you learn the science has changed. But how it really works is once a worldwide industry has developed around the thing, it's the same as going to war. Hey, we don't need to do that war. Well, the machine's already in motion. What can you do?
While previous research has often focused on rapid ice loss in West Antarctica, this study highlights concerning instability in 4 key glacier basins in East Antarctica's Wilkes-Land Maryland region. What a crazy name. Wilkes-Land Maryland? You got to be kidding me. Is that China science? These glacier systems showed alarming changes between the first 2 study periods, with mass loss intensifying during the years 2011 and 2020 compared to 2002-2010. So alarming. So by the way, they didn't predict them. They didn't know why. They don't know what's going on. What makes this finding particularly significant is that 2 of these glaciers, Vincennes Bay and Denman, transitioned. Oh, really? Are they on puberty blockers? They transitioned from states of mass balance and accumulation to intense mass loss, respectively. I don't know what this means.
It went off Ozempic, probably.
They probably did. How should we interpret these findings in the context of long-term climate trends? So how should we interpret this? So how are we supposed to? So again, the data, I guess, doesn't speak for itself. We have to interpret it.
Yeah, I didn't ask that question, how I should interpret it.
Right.
I've already interpreted it right at the top slide.
Right. So let's see how we interpret it.
Okay.
And they're not going to tell you that for most of the Earth's history, we did not have polar ice caps. Did you know that?
No, I didn't, but I like how it's so wordy that it's like Jordan Peterson trying to vouch for censorship on Joe.
That's right. How should we interpret these findings in the context of long-term climate trends? You mean more predictions?
Oh, now we care about long-term.
You mean more climate models that have been proven wrong over and over? While the recent mass gain provides a temporary reprieve from the rising sea levels, the expanding inland mass loss areas in East Antarctica, in these East Antarctica glaciers, present a concerning pattern that warrants continued monitoring. Oh, really?
I can translate. Continue monitoring means keep giving us money.
Keep giving us money to do this.
That's what it means.
So Patrick Moore says, here's the big picture of global temperatures during the past 65 million years. Now, climate scientists only go back to 1890, but a lot of people go back 65 million years. Which one do you think's more informative? That they estimated so that goes back 65 million years since the asteroid cataclysm that exterminated the dinosaurs. We are at the tail end of a 50 million year cooling period.
Oh, I did know that there was no ice. We're in an ice age this whole time. Did you know that?
Yes. Did you know we've been in an ice age this whole time? There was no ice in the Arctic until 3 million years ago. Ice just appeared in the Arctic 3 million years ago, which is a blink of an eye in the lifetime of the planet. Here's Peter Clack. He says 1 million years of geological history does not lie. Earth is in the Holocene interglacial, a brief warm cycle with an ice age lasting 2.58 million years. All the empires rose in this warm interglacial period, but it will end. A return to the depths of an ice age should be our greatest fear.
Oh, should we stop driving? So we're back to global cooling again.
Yeah.
Well, we're just going to switch back which temperature is bad.
So, by the way, mentally, we're halfway to an ice age because we're being forced to live in our caves like we were during COVID, not allowed out, becoming primitive and clannish. But believe me, the ice age was not as bad as the vanilla ice age, where they raid your village and steal your bass lick for their songs.
They raided David Bowie's village? Is that what?
That's what they... So here's from the Washington Post. This actually made it into the Washington Post. You ready for this? It says scientists have captured Earth's climate over the last 485 million years. Here's the surprising place we stand now. So what they figured out is it's cooler now than it's been. Here, let me show you. But by the way, if you thought it was difficult to be a scientist now, imagine how tough it was 485 million years ago. That's got to be that nobody knew what they were talking about because nobody knew how to talk. So here it starts up there. Global mean surface temperature. And it's going down. So it was way hotter 465 million years ago. Going down, down, down. And then here's where the first mammals appear. Still going down. And then still going down, down, down. The extinction of the dinosaurs. Boom, 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 going down. So we're in a cooling period. This is where we are now. Current geological stage. You see, that I'm not a climate scientist. What does that tell you, Misha? Does that tell you that we're in a cooling phase? Is that what that looks like to you?
It tells me your word's more trustworthy than a climate scientist who I do not trust. A climatologist? Why would you be able to even look? You know, you ever heard of the three-body problem? It's not related to climate. It's planetary bodies. But once you could predict orbits pretty perfectly, except once there's three bodies in relation to each other, it becomes impossible to predict what will happen. And that's just three like something like the climate. Why would you even have a model that could do that? It doesn't make any sense that they ever thought they could model that.
What I ask people,
I think they're knowingly lying.
I go, we all know that 10,000 years ago, which is, again, not even a blink of an eye in Earth's time, that most of North American continent was covered in ice. It all went away. That was before we started burning oil. Does that ever get in anybody's head? That all went away. Okay. Bloomberg News, they use this graph in Bloomberg News. You want to see what the Bloomberg News says? This was from last December. The 10 most intriguing science breakthroughs of 2024. And one of them was this graph. One of them was what they found out. Here it is. Bloomberg talks about it. It says, a new reconstruction of Earth's climate shows it fluctuated wildly over the eons. No kidding. Scientists, but they also, you know what else? If you study it, that the temperature goes up and then carbon goes up. It's not the other way around. It's not carbon goes up and then temperature goes up. It's the other way. A new reconstruction of Earth's climate shows it fluctuated wildly over the eons. Scientists shocked the world in the 1990s with a graph of the last 1,000 years, just over the last 1,000, using natural records to reveal temperatures shooting upwards in the 20th century. This one goes back 485 million years, before dinosaurs, before forests, and before fish started dragging themselves up onto primitive banks. Why isn't this? Okay. It shows that over the last 485 million years, the climate fluctuated between hothouse periods, when the global temperatures can be 30 degrees Fahrenheit hotter than it is now. That's without burning any coal or oil or natural gas. 30 degrees hotter than it is now, Fahrenheit. And it's an unstable ice house periods, when the temperature seesaws between ice ages and more temperate phases, like we're in right now. Did you ever hear of the Little Ice Age? Did you know that was just a few hundred years ago? And it lasted like 400 years? Called a Little Ice Age? Did you know that was even a thing? No.
Mm-hmm. Well,
so that's
we're in the Ice Age.
That's what we're in right now. We're in an unstable ice house period, where the temperature seesaws between ice ages and more temperate phases. Like right now, we're in a temperate phase. It seesaws. Sometimes living things adapted to the hottest spells, with hippos and tropical palms slowly migrating to the Arctic. So does that mean I can have a barbecue in my backyard again and have a gas stove? Or do I have to pedal a bicycle generator to run my children's light bulb oven?
You have to have an Ed Begley Jr. set up.
When change was sudden, the fossil record shows 80 to 90% of species went extinct. That's what happens. Though life has never been extinguished completely on the planet, the researchers who made the plot say it has been a useful test of our climate models. They match these measurements-based approximations going back in time. So more steep warming is coming. The good news is the Earth will likely be a living planet for millions of years. No kidding. Just like George Carlin said, the planet ain't going anywhere.
I always thought that. I was like, when they're like, save the planet, I'm like, no, we got to save ourselves. Like, the planet's going to be fine. Really, like that George Carlin joke. Why are they saying it like this is new information?
I agree with you. So again, I'm not a climate scientist. Don't take your climate knowledge from me, but be skeptical of the climate narrative, because I know the people who are screaming the loudest about it are certainly the liars. Just like the people who scream the loudest about COVID were paid liars, like Dr. Fauci, Dr. Collins, who's the goof with the bow tie and the lab coat? Hotez. Those guys are charlatans, just like Bill Gates was screaming about the vaccine. And as soon as he cashed in his stock about the vaccine, he started saying that the COVID vaccine didn't work. Bill Gates did that as soon as he cashed in his stock. So the people I know for a fact the people screaming the loudest about climate change are either the world's biggest hypocrites or they're just lying. That Barack Obama goes to Africa and tells the people of Africa you can't have air conditioners and cars because if everybody in Africa has an air conditioner, that the planet's going to overheat. And then what does he do? He gets in a private jet, flies back to his new beachside mansion in Maui. And then he flies to his other beachside mansion on Martha's Vineyard with 1 million. How many air conditioners do you think it takes to air condition his? I'm going to say about 10, at least, probably 10. 10 giant central air units.
Plus, to film their great podcast thing and production and stuff, that equipment heats up the room. You got to run AC.
Mark Zuckerberg says he's an environmentalist and he worries about climate change. And then he bought a 430-foot yacht that's powered by 4 giant diesel engines. But you have to have an electric stove. You have to live in a 15-minute city, living in a storage container, driving a electric scooter, eating the bugs that hit you on the face. So we can all fight climate change. Except they're going to keep flying around, and Bill Gates says, "Well, I buy carbon offsets." Why would you continue if you really believe climate change is an existential threat? Wouldn't you immediately stop flying your private jet? Because a private jet emits more carbon than my car does in my whole lifetime. One flight on one private jet emits more carbon than my car does in my lifetime. So if you really thought that was what's making the planet overheat, wouldn't you not buy carbon offsets? You would stop flying in private jets.
Well, not if I'm a VIP, Jimmy. Not if I'm more important than you.
Well, if you're rich enough, you can still contribute to global warming and climate change if you're rich enough. And if you really thought climate change was real, wouldn't you just buy the carbon offsets anyway? Wouldn't you put all your money into trying to fight it? You're only going to do it so you could go take a private jet flight? So those people are all liars, charlatans, and criminals. Bill Gates is a criminal. And, of course, we know Barack Obama is also a war criminal. So is John Kerry. So are all those people. Trump, Biden, they're all... Hillary Clinton is soaked in blood and criminality. What happened to that money from Haiti? 1775 and Rumble just launched the first anti-aging coffee. And no, it's not brewed in Fauci's lab, though it will make you feel younger without the side effects of government advice. They dropped 1,000 longevity bundles, blew through most of them, and after watching freedom lovers panic harder than CNN on election night, they extended the sale and added a few more. Once this deal is gone, it's gone, like your trust in the FDA. For $99, you're getting over our $250 value. 2 bags of longevity coffee infused with Cal AKG to support cellular health and reduce biological age. And yes, they'll be selling biological age tests soon just to prove it. Plus, an ultra rare pea berry roast that makes up less than 5% of global crops, kind of like honest politicians. And exclusive merch that screams, I don't shop at Target anymore. All of it, specialty grade, single origin, small batch. This isn't your sleepy chain store coffee. It's for people who read food labels and voted before mail-in ballots were cool. If you believe in America, in freedom, and in not settling for weak corporate nonsense, this is your coffee. Every dollar you spend gets you 1 entry to win a Cybertruck and 30 grand in cash, eh? That's 99 entries locked in. And with less than a month left, this bundle guarantees you a real shot. Head to 1775coffee.com/door and grab yours before the last bundle's gone. Fuel up, live long, and start your morning with coffee that stands for something. Come see us live in Los Angeles, Buffalo, Toledo, Montreal, Ottawa, Glasgow, Manchester, Belfast, Dublin, London, Liverpool, Birmingham. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for tickets.